Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is Mark, and on today's show, The Last Jedi gets some tracking information, Christian Bale apparently gets ready to go hunting, and the Pacific Rim monsters may be tangling with some pretty famous beasts. Ashley, who's joining me today?
Also here is Ken Napzok.
Hey, I wasn't supposed to be here today, but I'm here.
Also here, Kristian Harloff.
I think I was supposed to be here today. I have no sleep.
Also here, Cody Miller.
Hi guys, I'm crashing the party today.
Yay!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an Olympic athlete in our midst, Mr. Cody Miller. Give him the proper hand he deserves. And then,
Listen, me?
and then you're back too.
Thanks. Way to go right over my triumphant return, Cody.
No, but this is actually your official return to movie talk as well, after welcoming a new bundle of joy to the family. How you feeling, bud?
I feel good. Feel tired.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Real tired. Last night was a struggle.
So you're back now, and then Cody, you are in town for ostensibly you're in town for a swim meet this weekend,
Yep.
but you told us that you had another reason for coming to LA.
Yeah, definitely. We wanted to come to Movie Talk, obviously.
Oh, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Makes me feel good.
And do Universal Studios, of course.
So you went to the Fright Night last
Did
night.
Fright Night, did all 8 of the haunted houses and the mazes, and God, it scared me just crapless. It was fun.
Who gets more scared, you or the or your new wife?
I want,
Congratulations on that, by the way.
thank you. Yeah, I'm recently married to
Nice.
love of my life,
Props,
Allie
I
over
like
there. I would like to say she gets more scared, but I think I get more scared. Yeah,
Do you
I think so.
audibly? Do you scream?
I definitely scream. I definitely yelled a couple times. There were a couple jumps and jolts.
That house terrorist thing, we did that in Florida. I hated that thing because it was scary. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
just don't like the
pretty
scary
scary.
things.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Fright Night or Not Scary From or any of those is that you don't just you don't know who is doing the scares. You don't know
Yeah.
what these people's backstories are. We don't know if that's what they do the other 360 days of the year. But for those times, they really scare us. And then you're hanging out with us here today on Movie Talk. We have a lot of great stories. And on a personal note, I want to thank all you fans for coming out to Chicago Zanies this weekend. Had a great time seeing all your smiling faces. And to the Bizzelli twins, we'll get them next time. We'll have beers after the show. Cool. All right, Ashley, what is our first topic here today?
In a new interview with Collider's own Steve Weintraub, Pacific Rim Uprising director Stephen DeKnight hinted at a possible crossover between Pacific Rim and WB's Godzilla/Kong movie universe. Speaking in an interview at New York Comic Con a few weeks ago, the filmmaker revealed that this crossover notion has very much been discussed. I won't say there's an Easter egg, but there's been a lot of discussion about that possibility of crossing over. Look, I think it would be fantastic to have the Pacific Rim universe join Legendary's Monsters universe. It seems like a natural step. And part of the big overall plan after the third movie we've talked about is that could happen. It's always a possibility. It's by far not a certainty. It's merely theoretical at this point, but as a fan myself, I would love to see that happen. Mark, thoughts on DeKnight's comments, and do you think we'll see a Pacific Rim/Kong/Godzilla crossover one day?
You're damn right I do, Ashley. It's a crossover I see in my dreams on a nightly basis. And with this quote, this is very interesting. This is why Frosty's one of the best in the business at just getting nuggets of information out of people that you might not expect or that they might not have wanted to reveal, because he said, I won't say there's an Easter egg. But there's been a lot of discussion. If you're saying that I won't say there's an Easter egg 6 months before the movie comes out, that means that there could very well be an Easter egg in that actual movie. I'm not ready to say that this is going to happen, but I think that there's a great chance. We do have to see what the box office receipts show us, because there's a chance that King Kong and Godzilla may not want anything to do with Pacific Rim. I finally got to see the trailer in proper IMAX and 3D at a movie this weekend, Geostorm, and it was really cool. I think that this Pacific Rim is going to do pretty well at the box office. It has a nice March release date, so it's not competing with all the summer tentpole movies. So I think it could do well enough to warrant consideration from the Godzilla King Kong universe. Kristian, we got really excited when we heard that Godzilla and King Kong are going to cross over. Is there room at the party for some Pacific Rim Jaegers and Kaiju?
Well, there's definitely room at the party. There's no doubt about that. But you're right. When you look at Below the Line, I can't even get the words out today. I'm sorry, but when you look
He's got 2 kids. I don't want to hear anything about this. 2 kids.
It doesn't matter. Bring it on. But when you look at the comment by Stephen DeKnight, he's basically saying exactly that. If this movie does well, then we're gonna do this. It's just right now they can't guarantee it, because the first movie, even with Del Toro, did okay, and some people loved it, and other people said, it didn't really have much to do, and Charlie Hunnam wasn't very good, and it wasn't loved. if this movie is not necessarily critically loved, but like you said, it does well at the box office, yeah, we're going to see a crossover, and we should. It fits in perfectly, but they're just not going to definitely tell you, because if it stinks, if the movie stinks and it's terrible, and they go, yeah, we're going to combine that could hurt the numbers on Godzilla versus King Kong, because if you have those movies and then it's a movie that doesn't do very well, then you don't want to start promoting that. But if it does well, it's pretty much a lock.
Ken Napzok, you love big monsters. You want to see them all in one movie together?
No, I don't. Christian's point is great about if these two both fail on their own, or the Kong Skull Island was lukewarm received, all this stuff. Yeah, then they maybe could team up. It'd be like me and Cody trying to win a swim race, where I'm just like, you do like 7 legs, I'll be here waiting for you. So like, I think that's a great point. I personally don't like crossovers. I talked about this, Mark, before, where like in the 80s, one of the worst moments of my life was that Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, and then Spider-Man in issue 4 of Transformers showed up. I want my world separate. I want to play in different sandboxes. I can understand it. It's like, it's like E.T. and Star Wars being together. I wouldn't want that. Crap.
It's real. It's real. It is a crossover. It is in fact canon.
This is different, though, Ken. Don't you think? Because like normally I agree. I mean, there are certain times you don't need to blend them, but when you have the kaijus, and it just kind of it makes sense that the Godzilla and King Kong could fit there if it works.
If it works, I don't disagree with you. I know what you're saying. It almost looks like it was built to be the same world. So maybe you could have some history, but it's like I'd rather know that when Kong Skull Island got made or The Mummy got made, that they started putting little stuff.
Right.
Little pieces in that. Then
Let's care about the first story first, and not just set it up to
retconning it back in some way. Like, hey, you get the kaiju there the whole time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying. And Cody, the big hurdle that I had to get over in considering this news is that I remember seeing Pacific Rim and thinking it takes place way in the future.
Yeah.
It's not that far. We get a synopsis of what 2020 is like, and then most of our action is in 2025 or 2026, I think. So conceivably, you could have whatever goes down with King Kong and Godzilla, and then have that continue on and just set the next story that they tell with the Pacific Rim monsters and Jaegers in the future 5 or 6 years. Does that work for you?
I'm all for just giant monsters fighting giant monsters, and I like the first Pacific Rim. I think I'm in the minority. I really like the first Godzilla film, even though I think that they didn't use Godzilla enough. But
the bandwagon starts right here, my man.
Everything's got to be a shared universe, and I think that if you throw things together and people like it and it works great, then let's do it. And if it doesn't work, then it just pretend like it never happened. I think that the most exciting crossover that I think is dead now was the MIB 23 crossover. Like that's the one that like I wanted to see.
I think that is still in. I think we're still doing Men in Black and 21 Jump Street, and that's the ultimate crossover where I think that if it doesn't work, who cares?
Yes,
because it's not. It's just if it's a comedy, it's different than having a bunch of fans that really care about these monsters. King Kong and Godzilla are always going to be fine, in my opinion. If this doesn't work, the worst case scenario is you get to reboot them again in 10 years. Pacific Rim, that is the little brother of this franchise. That's the stepchild that needs some help.
Can I stick with that MIB 23 thing? I couldn't disagree with both you guys more. It's like that. I think that because you have 21 Jump Street and 22 Jump Street that were so well done as rated R comedies that worked so well. I think that if you tainted the franchise by making a PG-13 version with Men in Black, which has been on the decline, and if you join those together and then you say, well, who cares, because you had 2 good movies but one stinky one on PG-13, that is the definition of a money grab.
But here's what you can do in a 24 Jump Street that you can't do in King Kong versus Godzilla, is that you can make fun of the fact that you tried something so stupid.
Yes, yeah,
you can turn that on its ear. Godzilla and King Kong can't be like, hey, remember when we invited Pacific Rim to our party? How dumb were we? So because those were such serious movies. Ashley, you're representing the haters' corner here today.
Yeah.
Are you feeling some positive vibes coming from the addition, potentially, of Pacific Rim into King Kong and Godzilla?
In true haters' corner fashion, not at all. Can you guys know the Oprah meme? The Oprah meme, like you gotta. It's like you got a shared universe and you got a shared universe. Can we chill for a second on the shared universes? Like, let's see. Doesn't King Kong versus Godzilla, doesn't it come out in 2020? Can we just see that first and then see where we're gonna go from here? Because I'm like, calm down with the shared universes. Pump the brakes a little bit.
Okay, fine. Pump the brakes on the new car that Oprah just gave you. Let's move on to something that we're never going to pump the brakes for our excitement for. That would be a galaxy far, far away that does include the ET aliens.
When Star Wars The Force Awakens hit theaters in December of 2015, it shattered box office records, including setting an all-time opening weekend milestone with $247 million. Now, Box Office Pro has some long-range box office projections for Star Wars The Last Jedi, and if it holds true, could be enough to nab the second biggest opening of all time. The outlet reports that The Last Jedi could pull in as much as $215 million on opening weekend and go on to make over $742 million at the end of its domestic run, which is around 20% less than The Force Awakens' $936 million. Kristian, do you think The Last Jedi will open with $215 million, or is that number too low?
No, I think it's right about. I think that's right. I think 215. If it went higher, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think 215 is pretty accurate. And I think that that's when you get the emails that we get sometimes about, do you think you even need a Last Jedi trailer? People are excited. The projection here is why you need a Last Jedi trailer. People got so excited. Not that they weren't already excited for the movie. We know that. But after that trailer came out, and because we didn't know what we were going to see, and then this is Rian Johnson's Star Wars. We saw that. Now, all the speculation videos, all the, the hype, all the, articles that come out, that is more press, more marketing that it's not necessarily, it's not paid for. And it's, when you get an exciting trailer like that and more people want to talk about it, there comes the hype. Now, if it was a movie that's like, who cares, then maybe that number, that 215 projected, goes down a little bit. And don't whatever you think about Force Awakens, whatever you think about it,
it's great.
One of the most profitable movies of all time, and definitely domestically. And the movie has hype around it. It is the sequel to that huge movie. So 215, I'm going to say, is a pretty safe bet. If it goes over, wouldn't be surprised, but I'd say 215 is probably a push.
Cody Miller, Kristian makes the point that when The Force Awakens came out, that was such a perfect storm of nostalgia and new Star Wars and great marketing that we all got so excited for these movies that we never thought we'd get the opportunity to go check out again. Part of the reason why it crushed so hard domestically opening weekend and continued on its incredible run. Do you see The Last Jedi being able to match that, or do you think that the 215 number sounds more accurate?
I think the 215 number sounds a little bit more accurate, but I still think that's a little low. I think it's important to remember that they really haven't started their biggest push in their marketing machine for this movie. I mean, we've got one trailer. We're definitely going to get one more trailer, and as we get closer, that build-up's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I think that number will probably eventually climb a little bit. I'm going to put my prediction at right around 225. I think 225 is right where we're going to see it. I don't think, because of the hype behind The Force Awakens, that's really what pushed it over to that 250, that massive number. But I think 225 is probably where it's going to land, and I'm just so pumped for that movie.
Yeah. Ken, I don't trust box office tracking. I would rather trust Josh McCouga after 5 drinks than box office tracking, and I don't think that this number is accurate at all. I think it's going to be a lot higher. I do not think The Last Jedi is going to reach The Force Awakens, because I think that's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of deal. But with The Last Jedi, what you have to factor in are two things. Is that, one, The Last Jedi is going to have immense replay value, because like the trailer that we saw, there's a whole lot of speculation. This is going to lead into episode 9, and we're going to be wanting to talk about all the things that we saw in The Last Jedi. We're going to want to go see this movie, hopefully 3 or 4 times, maybe even opening weekend. And the movie theaters are going to accommodate that. I know there's a lot of theaters in LA that are literally running The Last Jedi 24 hours a day. So I think that The Force Awakens, Ken, might have been a little litmus test for theaters, being like, you know what, we could have made more money with this if we had accommodated more screenings. Maybe that does happen with The Last Jedi, and it gets closer to that number. So you said around 215. You wouldn't be surprised?
I wouldn't be surprised with just Cody's numbers, I don't think is too far.
You went 225. I'm going 235. How high are you going, Ken?
Ooh, I was going to go about 230, 235, and it might push it because, Cody, you made a great point. Right now, the biggest marketing for this movie is one trailer and me in a bathrobe and a Walgreens asking for a General Leia Black Series figure. Like, that's the push hasn't begun. All right?
So you do Force Friday at Walgreens.
Yeah.
That's a hidden gem.
They got exclusives. So the push could come, and I tell the story. I don't want to tell it again, but there's people out there who are like, there's another Star Wars. Yeah. Those people exist, and God bless you, because those are the people that are going to go see this movie and push it over the edge. Runtime, I don't think runtime's an issue, but it's a longer movie. I already have 10 tickets, but that's me, all right? Because I'm really? In the Walgreens. I already do.
Fantastic.
So I could see it in one universe. actually passing Force Awakens, but it's also kind of that thing of, get a big YouTube viral video hit, and the next in the series is like half the views, just because people don't always follow things. So there's going to be some drop off because, like you said, Force Awakens, not everyone loved it. And some people might be like, that's not my Star Wars. But I still think they're going to do it.
But all those people are still going to go see that movie.
They might.
Even the people
maybe
who are
not as much as you and me, though.
Right.
True.
Do we give any credibility to whether counter programming or whether other movies opening around the holiday season are going to impact it at all? Because you do have Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is coming out 5 days later. So do you think that's going to affect its overall run? I mean, there's nothing. There's an animated movie called Ferdinand, which actually looks pretty cute. Is the only thing that's coming out against Force Awakens. So I think as far as opening box office, Kristian goes, it's pretty safe that this is the movie people are going to go see.
Yeah, and I think those other movies will probably do what was it, Sisters, the one with Amy Poehler and
Did pretty well. Yeah.
It was a smart move. We all were like, what are they doing?
And Chipmunks too.
And Chipmunks also.
Yeah.
It was a smart move because
Shipwrecked.
when all those movies, when all the tickets are sold out for Force Awakens, people are going to want to see stuff with their families. And these two movies, Jumanji and the whatever that animated thing is, then they go and they see those movies. But yeah, Force Awakens. Now the question is, next year, or I think it's next year, 2 years, when Episode 9 comes out, there's a whole bunch of other movies now because the December was kind of like no one ever touched it. Now it's like the new summer movies.
Star Wars broke that
Star
open.
Wars broke it because it had never broken 100 million before Force Awakens, and then Rogue One did it. So now studios are starting to move into those spots. I'm very curious that once you have those competitive movies with a Star Wars in the next 2 years, how it's going to fare.
Yeah, if you have Wonder Woman 2 opening in 2019
Yeah.
around a Christmas date, you have Avatar possibly opening around a Christmas date.
That's going to come out in 3032.
If we ever do get to see it. Cody, were you like Ken? Did you buy your tickets on or one of these ticketing sites as soon as you saw the Last Jedi trailer? Have you yet to procure?
I have yet to buy my tickets, but make no mistake, I'll be there Thursday night.
Well, Ken's got a
flashes
few.
the metal.
I got a few extra.
Yeah, I bought 5 on the airplane flying back from New York when the thing happened. I managed to get through.
We're in the future.
1:45 a.m.
Nice.
Really?
Let's do it. Yeah,
I'm waiting a little
I'm
bit.
going to be taking a nap that day.
Yeah.
All right, Ashley, what's our next story?
It's Monday and time for the box office report. Tyler Perry's Boo 2, A Medea Halloween, topped the weekend box office, becoming the 7th of 8 Medea films to open with over 20 million. The movie pulled in an estimated 21.65 million for the #1 spot, followed by Geostorm, which finished with an estimated 13.3 million for the #2 spot. Universal and Blumhouse's Happy Death Day dropped 64% in its second weekend for the #3 spot, with an estimated 9.37 million, and Blade Runner 2049 took the #4 spot with an estimated 7.15 million, bringing its domestic total to 74 million. And rounding out the top 5 was Sony's Only the Brave, finishing right where the studio expected with an estimated 6 million. Ken, thoughts on the weekend box office report?
Glad I stayed home and did chores. Yeah, look, I love
What's
the
chores? Legos?
All right, I had to level up at Game of Thrones Conquest on my app, on my phone game I'm playing. All right, it takes a lot of work. Hey, this happens every now and then, right? Look, I love Blade Runner 2049. No one's expecting to do big money. This is why Tyler Perry has a very successful career. He makes movies that come out when people are like, screw it, let's go see it. And that's a good strategy. It's worked for a long time. I'm not going to see any of these movies. So how was Geostorm?
Geostorm was everything you want it to be, my man. It was. I'm surprised, but I'm not at the same time because Medea. It's one of those things that it comes out at a great time of year for a movie like that, where you get a spoof comedy, you also get horror elements. It is Halloween. Geostorm is just one of those movies where it's like, why are you coming out now? Like, why ever, really? But particularly now when we're either looking for a good scare or we're looking for something that is Oscar consideration. We didn't ask for you, Geostorm, but you came, and the review is going to be up later on Schmoes. I did a poll this weekend, or this past week on Schmoes Live, where I gave the 4 movies that are coming out this week, because I was only going to get a chance to see one of them in Chicago, and it was Medea, Geostorm, Only the Brave, and The Snowman. and I was secretly hoping that they might vote for The Snowman, but then that Rotten Tomatoes score, Cody, came out. That was so bad. The Snowman plummeted all the way to number 8 opening on less than 2,000 screens with just $3.5 million. So are you more surprised at the lack of success with a movie like that, or the fact that Medea is number 1 again at the box office?
I think that in the case of Geostorm, or sorry, not Geostorm, the Snowman movie, that was a movie that was killed by terrible reviews. I think it was really affected by it because I saw the trailer for that
director.
movie. Yeah, including the director. Because I saw the trailer for that movie and I thought it looked really good. And Michael Fassbender was in it and it had all the right pieces to fit, to be a good movie. And then that killed it. As far as Geostorm goes, I'm really happy that I have friends like you guys to see those movies so that I don't have to. And then if they turn out to be good, then yeah, you tell me it's good to see it. Still haven't seen Happy Death Day. And as far as Boo goes, I haven't seen any of those those movies. But there is no doubt about it. There's an audience for those movies because they make. I mean, what's it up to across 8 films? They're up to like $800 million at the box office. So I mean, there's a reason they keep making them. They keep making money. But yeah, it's a weekend that I stayed home and did
That's
not
right.
go
Yeah,
out to the theater.
I think I could recommend Happy Death Day too. It's just a fun like horror movie around this time of year. I think that'll continue to pick up a little bit of steam as we get closer to Halloween. Kristian, you see these numbers. I know you really wanted to see Geostorm this weekend. Sorry you missed out.
I missed everything the last 3 weeks. But I will tell you this: if you are a studio, you lock in Tyler Perry until he dies. That is a long time. That guy makes money, and he continues to make money. And Cody's right; he's got his audience, and they support his films every single time, and they do well. I didn't see it, and I actually was going to go try to check it out this weekend. Didn't have a chance to see anything, so I do want to see Geostorm. But the Snowman, though, you're right. The reviews, but the director coming out and saying, it's not really that good because we didn't get to finish and do this, but yet you're going to charge people to see it. So when you go and you say that, people are going to go, oh wait, the director says it stinks. I'm out of there. It was terribly marketed. It was, from what I hear, one of the worst movies of the year. It surprised me that it came in at 8. When the director's telling you basically don't see it, you shouldn't see it, and no one should have spent $1 on that movie. But I don't know. I still am gonna go check it out, even though I told myself that I spent $1 on it. But you look at this. That we are in a period right now as we gear up to the Oscar films. This is that kind of lull, and we'll start to hit quality movies will start coming out. I mean, you got Suburbicon and Thank You for Your Service coming out this weekend. These aren't blockbuster money movies. These are the movies that you go for. These are a lot of the hardcore film buffs are going to go to the movies around this time. This is when you see people who you're watching this show, you want to learn more about what's coming out, the kind of the more limited movies that are coming out also. That's what you're going to start to see. There are blockbusters that come out, but this is the period now as we get further of the potential Oscar nominees. Yeah, you mentioned Oscar nominees, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer came out, very limited release this weekend, and it ended up making almost $30,000 per screen. So it's definitely getting that Oscar buzz. And then as you move closer to the November date, you're going to see more movies like that. The Killing of a Sacred Deer expands into more of a nationwide release on November 3rd. So Ashley, in the meantime, we're going to move on to buy or sell. This is a part of the show where you will give us a premise. We will say whether we buy it or sell. And we're going to use all the money that you got from your tax refund.
Fingers crossed. The first images of Christian Bale and Amy Adams in director Adam McKay's untitled Dick Cheney movie have landed online, showing the two actors are virtually unrecognizable in their respective roles. McKay, who rose to prominence directing the comedies Anchorman, Talladega Nights, and Step Brothers, made his dramatic debut with The Big Short to massive success and an Oscar win for Best Adapted Screenplay. He then used that clout to move forward with a movie about Dick Cheney. The film currently doesn't have a release date and just started production. Cody, buy or sell the first looks at Christian Bale and Amy Adams as Dick and Lynne Cheney?
Big buy. Is that really those act like is that really? That's amazing.
That's Batman.
That's Batman. That's Christian Bale. That's flat out incredible. I remember watching an interview of McKay talking about his want to direct The Big Short. He read the book and he's like, I want to make this movie. This is fascinating. I think I can do a good job. But he wasn't sure if the studio was gonna let him make it because he was the comedy guy. He's the guy behind Anchorman and those silly, goofy movies that we love. And he's such a good director, and he showed us that with The Big Short. That was my favorite movie of that year. I never thought that subject matter could be that interesting and that fun and that funny. And so I'm really excited to see a Dick Cheney movie. Yeah, I don't know what kind of spin, like what kind of tone they're going for. You know, whether it's going to be more in the vein of The Big Short with a bit of humor. I imagine there will be some humor with it. But those prosthetics, like that does not look like Christian Bale. One of my favorite shows is the Sci-Fi Channel's Face Off, and they do movie makeup prosthetics. And so I'm fascinated when it's done really, really well. Unlike what Johnny Depp looked like in Black Mass with that funky looking forehead.
Oh, White Walker.
yeah. The White Walker, exactly. But yeah, no, I buy these images. I know we don't know much about the movie. I don't even think there's a title yet, but
Dick.
yeah. Just Dick. Yeah, but because McKay's doing it and they look great, like I'm excited to see the movie.
Unfortunately, there is a movie called Dick that has already been with Richard Nixon. Will Ferrell's in it. And as far as these pictures go, I will buy the first looks, which are not studio approved at all. I mean, this is more like TMZ kind of style. I don't know if it came from TMZ, but it's like somebody had a camera, was able to take the picture and get it out there, and they look fantastic. I mean, that looks like Dick and Lynne Cheney to me. Far less more like them than it does Christian Bale and Amy Adams, who are two A-listers in their own right. As far as the project overall goes, I do have some hesitation about what the angle we're taking with this is, because there wasn't a whole lot of spin that you needed with The Big Short. That was more giving us a bird's eye view as to what went down with the housing and financial crisis in 2008, and it was more letting us in on the events that transpired. Whereas with everything that Dick Cheney was or was not or may or have been rumored to be involved in during his tenure, that's up for debate. There's a lot of artistic spin, Oliver Stone-ish, that you could go with that either way. So I just wonder how they're going to take that. So I need to see a trailer before I get really excited or apprehensive about the actual movie, Christian. But just the makeup here, I mean, that person did their job for this movie.
Well, it's a big buy, but also let's not take away from the fact that Christian Bale did what he did again with The Machinist, except to the extreme the other side this time, and gained a lot of weight, because there's been pictures of him he put on all this weight again. The dude does this to himself. It's dangerous.
We don't recommend it.
We don't recommend it, but he continues to do this. And when you look at him, he doesn't look like Christian Bale. He doesn't look like the dude that played Batman. He doesn't look like that ripped dude in American Psycho. He looks like Dick Cheney. And Amy Adams, the same thing. I mean, Amy Adams is only in her early 40s, and she looks like she's in her 60s there. It is done very well. I'm on the side of Cody here. I'm very excited for this film because of Adam McKay. When you heard Adam McKay was doing The Big Short, you're like, okay, I was glad this guy wasn't doing Ant-Man, and now I'm going to watch him do The Big Short, and boy, was I happy he did The Big Short. He did a great job with that film. You read those interviews of what he wanted to do with that particular movie. If this is the movie he wanted to do next, he has a relationship now with Christian Bale and what they did on The Big Short. I think this is something I'm very interested to see, because this is the perfect example of when you have a team of talented people, it doesn't matter what they're doing. You tell me, what did you do? Because we're, like I said, many, many times we're in this business of what have you done for me lately? And the last thing they have done was incredible. So if the follow-up is about a chair with a pop toy on it, then okay, Adam McKay's doing that with Christian Bale, and Christian Bale looks like a pop toy, so I'm in.
Just to round out the cast here, Tyler Perry is playing Colin Powell in this movie. Sam Rockwell is playing George W. Bush, and playing their daughter Mary is Allison Pill. So it's a hell of a cast, Ken. And when you look at these pictures, do you see more Amy Adams and Christian Bale, or do you see Lynne Cheney and a guy you shouldn't go hunting with?
Amy Adams is unrecognizable to me. Cheney as well. But I mean, look at this picture down here. Looks like me running out of a 7-Eleven before they realized I stole an extra pizza slice. I mean, that's amazing. I can't believe that's Batman. But I'll buy the pictures. Rockwell as Bush is interesting because I'm a big fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that includes the movie version. And his Zaphoid Beeblebrox was essentially a Bush impersonation back then. So that's interesting to bring him back, give him a chance to actually do it in full. So yeah, I'll buy the pictures and like you, see the angle of the movie. But McKay is definitely, this is a guy who directed digital shorts on SNL. I think he did the H.is.O. I think that was his. If you ever watched that, look that up. Not with kids around, but so to see him grow and to see him pull out of Ant-Man, I actually forgot that. Yeah. And I think doing Anchorman too, so he could be like, yeah, let's do it, so I can do what I want to do. That's part of how Hollywood works. So good for him.
I mean, all of this is amazing. I know you're a big fan of like looking at the prosthetics and see how realistic they are, but I cannot wait to see what Sam Rockwell is going to look like as George W. Bush. So stay tuned to Movie Talk as we break these pictures and hopefully a trailer sooner rather than later. Speaking of trailers, Ash, anything?
Oh yeah, Deadline revealed that The Orchard, the company behind the Sundance hit It Happened in LA, will release the movie in limited engagements starting on November 3rd. To celebrate, the company dropped its first trailer, giving audiences a look at the quirky comedy written and directed by newcomer Michelle Morgan, which is being described as the female answers to swingers. The movie will debut on November 3rd in New York and November 10th in Los Angeles before getting a wide release. Kristian Harloff, the first trailer for It Happened in L.A. Maybe Mark, I don't know. Do you want to take the reins?
Just let me, on behalf of my client,
Right.
you can take the fifth here if you want.
Well, no, I mean, I will say this, that this is what happens now, and you guys should know this. I drop my daughter off at school. I drop her off at around 8:15, and I drive to Burbank. I get the notes right around that time. So it's, did you watch the trailer? It's a crapshoot. Today, didn't happen. But I'm going to watch it because it sounds cool.
Okay, just let me check the email date on when the notes came in yesterday.
You want to flash to where I was yesterday?
No,
you want to flash to what I was doing yesterday?
I imagine it was
All right.
like in a park or a field or something with
Yeah.
children.
No, I
and
wish.
probably a pumpkin patch of some sort.
Don't worry about it.
Ashley, I think that I will speak for myself, and then I also want to get your take on
Yeah.
this because you and I watched the show together.
That we did.
Just for me, and I'm fond of using this quote from Ren and Stimpy from time to time. No, sir, I didn't like it. Not at all. Was not entertained by this trailer at all. And I think that the reason why I didn't like this trailer, I didn't respond to any humor, is that it did feel very real to me that I've met these people in LA. I've interacted with people like this in LA, and I don't like them. I didn't find anybody in this trailer remotely likable, which is fine. I don't need to glom onto somebody and be like, that's who I'm rooting for in a movie, but it also means that I may not necessarily want to see your picture, but it feels like real life. I was in Chicago, had a long weekend of traveling, got to see all the fans. I love hanging out with people. I'm done with human beings for a while. Seeing this trailer reminded me of the human beings that I'm not a fan of, so I did not enjoy this trailer, Ash. It's a sell for me. How about you?
I mean, you didn't even crack a smile once. Like, I kid you not, you didn't even laugh. You didn't even chuckle at all, a tiny bit. But I've heard these jokes before. If you follow the Overheard in LA Instagram account, I don't know if any of you follow it, but it's basically like these jokes over and over again. We've heard these LA jokes, actor, hiking, vegan, yoga. Like, we get it. It's just, it's not funny. None of it was funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Cody, it's like they're trying to position this as another Swingers, which when Swingers came out, I think that it was a different time when it was a fun insight into what it's like to be a struggling actor in LA. It just feels like we already have that veil lifted, but the movie's gotten great reviews from the festivals it's played at, so maybe I'm just an asshole.
Maybe, yeah, that was pretty dark, man. I was like, I was listening, I was like, oh, that's so sad. I don't live in LA. I don't know these people. I think it looks okay. There's a joke at the end of the trailer that I laughed audibly about. The snooty girl's like, I don't like you, and the girl's sitting there and she's like, well, if that's your opinion, then that's your opinion. And I thought that was really funny. I don't know, it looked quirky and it's got a very dark sense of humor, I think, from watching the trailer. And you know, I tend to like those kind of things, those oddball things, but you know, it might be good, it might suck, who knows, but I'll definitely check it out. I wasn't as turned off by it as you guys were, but you know,
that's it. See, this is what a jaded guy. I used to be a Cody Miller. I was from a small town.
Yeah.
I used to be a John Mellencamp song, and look at me now. I'm just oh my God, I'm just a horrible Ken. Am I just a grouch now?
You're turning to the dark side with me. It's great, and I love it. Welcome. You're going to have a lot of fun being alone in
Did you
your
just
apartment.
have a coffee delivered?
I did have a coffee delivered.
How do I get on that service?
Poor Harloff comes in a minute before we're shooting.
It takes an hour and a half to get a cup of water in this place. I couldn't even. Unbelievable.
You know, I know people. I wasn't. Again, I actually wasn't supposed to be here today. There was someone with poofier hair and sweatier glands. Was
Oh,
supposed to
really?
Be here.
How many kids do you
Talking about
have?
Roca like that.
How many kids do I have? None, but I do have 2 PlayStation 4s because I'm too lazy to move one from one room to the other. So I just bought another one. Oh, man.
Were those the chores you were referring to this
That's
week?
what I was referring to. It's a
Don't
true
complain
story.
about being poor.
I used a credit card. That's even how worse it was. Sling this Discover card. I don't want to move my PlayStation 4. I haven't had a chance to watch it. Look, I'm always for new voices, particularly new female voices on the director's chair. I'm interested. I love Swingers. It's one of my all-time favorites. So I can get behind the idea, but hearing what you're describing, even that joke that you loved and laughed out loud at a bus stop, which scared some people there, was I go to the Netflix show Love, which I was really excited for, and then about halfway through it, I was like, this reminds me of why I don't like living in LA sometimes. So I wonder how that plays, no jokes, to people who don't live in LA. We look at this and just it's like a mirror reflected up to us, and we're like, I don't like what I see. Other people might be like, oh, okay, it sounds interesting. It's like Swingers and everything. So I'm going to watch this right after Movie Talk, and then we're going to do a special live. No, we're not. But I'll come on tomorrow and give my follow-up opinion.
I'm actually refreshed that somebody like Cody enjoyed the trailer as much as he did, because like Michelle Morgan is somebody that I root for from a directorial and writing standpoint. It's just that like I think that this is more me than it is a trailer, and I'm probably projecting some of how I feel about society. But after everything that I travel a lot, and I'm just done with dealing with people in airports and on airplanes. So that's probably why I hated the trailer so much. But maybe I'll enjoy the movie. All right. Before we move on to mailbag, I want to remind you guys at the end of this show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. And this is not the only show that we do here on Collider Video's YouTube channel. We also have our daily doses of heroes and TV talk going to be later on today, as well as a special this week. Every day we are going to have Collider Nightmares is back, ladies and gentlemen. Every day this week you're going to get a dose of Collider Nightmares. And speaking of nightmare-ish kind of things, Stranger Things, its season 2 is about to debut on Netflix, and some of our team here has gotten to see the first 6 episodes, so they have that review that is going to be awaiting your eyeballs on the channel. We also have the Schmodown app. Make sure you guys check out the Movie Trivia Schmodown app. It is brand spanking new. Download it today. Play movie trivia with your friends. Have a blast. It's fun talking to all you guys on the road about how much you're enjoying it. Just put it away while I'm trying to do stand-up comedy. The Thor Ragnarok Not Spoiler review is also up, as well as reviews of Only the Brave and The Snowman and Awesome-tacular. Check out Awesome-tacular. New episodes are every Friday, and you can check out the link to the latest episode in this vid's description. All right, before we move on to our Twitter questions, let's take a question from the mailbag. collidervideo@gmail.com. We'll either answer it right here or on the weekend show's mailbag. Ashley, is it a good one?
It might be. Tom writes, hello, Collider crew. My question is regarding Michael Fassbender. He has the ability to be a great actor, but probably hasn't had a strong movie since 2015's Steve Jobs. His last few movies have been Alien Covenant, Assassin's Creed, Song to Song, The Light Between Oceans, and X-Men Apocalypse. The Snowman is getting terrible reviews. Do you think he's no longer a bankable leading man? Thanks.
Michael Fassbender, no longer a bankable leading man. Kristian, the guy, he seems to have all the talent in the world. He's been in a lot of different diverse types of roles. What's the issue with Michael Fassbender?
Fire your agent. It's like, get rid of your agent.
I put $10 down before the pre-production meeting that you were going to say fire your agent. Because you and I have had conversations with this about whether it's Fassbender or somebody else, where it seems like somebody is either, because you can read a script and say this looks good, but you blame the representation that he's just not getting the right kind of role.
100% you get rid of your agent at this point. Sorry. That's on them. It's like, again, if you equate it to a baseball team or a football team, it's like the agent is the coach, and it's like, okay, here's the strategy. This is what we're doing. We keep losing. We have one of the best pitchers in the game, and we keep losing. It's because the guy is extremely talented. He is a leading man. He should be doing more, but they're getting him the wrong roles. Assassin's Creed. Look, Light Between Oceans, I understand. And I dug that movie, but I understand. Derek Cianfrance, really good director. He wanted to. I think that's where he met Alicia Vikander and started their romance. I don't know if they're still together. I don't keep up with that shit. But as far as what he's doing, he is a leading man, and he should be doing more stuff. But this is clearly the representation's fault. 100%. It's not him. He's fun to watch. He was great to watch in that Alien movie. I like that Alien movie also, but it's not him. They're not booking him the right way.
Cody Miller, what's up with Michael Fassbender? How do we get him back on
I'm
track
a huge fan of Michael Fassbender. Okay, was it last year's Oscar when Leo won? Was it last year or 2
Revenant,
years? He won for Revenant. I thought that year Leo was great, but I think that Fassbender as Steve Jobs, that was my favorite performance of the year. I thought he was incredible, amazing. I thought that was award-winning worthy, but I know Leo got the award, and I'm super happy for him. Anyway, I agree with Kristian, but you kind of have to read between the lines. Assassin's Creed happened because he did that Macbeth movie with that same director, right? And that was pretty well received. I didn't see it, but I think it was well received. And as far as Apocalypse goes, that wasn't his fault. He was good in Apocalypse. That movie was somewhat disastrous for other reasons. I mean, I like the movie, but once again, not very well received.
He was great as Magneto.
Yes, I agree. He's so good as Magneto. So even when he's in these bad movies, he's good. And they were coming off of Days of Future Past, which was one of the best comic book movies we've seen in, I mean, probably ever. It's definitely up there. Haven't seen The Snowman yet. But once again, that movie had all the right makings of a good movie. That doesn't change the fact that, I mean, he's got failure after failure after failure. And it's sad because he's so talented and so good, and I love watching him. But how do you get him back on track? I think I just have to side with Kristian. I think you probably just need to fire your agent.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes, Ken, you just, as an actor and actress, you look at projects that have a lot of, you know, whether you're looking for blockbuster potential or Oscar caliber written all over it. So something like the Steve Jobs movie, obviously Macbeth, yes. Assassin's Creed, no, but that could have been a blockbuster in the holiday movie season, and it just wasn't. Same thing with X-Men Apocalypse. Even though I enjoyed it, it wasn't received as well as previous X-Men movies. Alien Covenant, another one where he's in the movie, and I think he's really good in the movie. I just hated that movie. I could not stand Alien Covenant at all.
Really?
I despise that movie. The more I think about it, it makes me sick to my stomach.
Wow.
And The Light Between Oceans, same thing. It's like that has Oscar potential, and it just didn't live up to it, but that's not the actor's fault. So it's hard for me to fault him or his representation. It's just sometimes you have a good game plan and it just doesn't get executed properly by whoever you're working with. So it might be he needs to switch up some. Maybe I'll start taking more risks with working with other directors and trying other teams. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, Fassbender's a great actor. That's not going to be in debate. Performances in bad movies, that's okay. That happens. But I even question, was he a bankable leading man? Does that exist outside of Tom Cruise? And sometimes that doesn't even exist anymore. That's maybe the bigger question. But maybe Harloff's right here. Make a change. Representation. Find different projects. You know, if you need to make a change, make a change. In 9th grade, I tried out for the swimming team and almost died doing a dog paddle. I decided to act after that. How do you do it, Cody? Like, I was like flapping around. They're like,
What's
breathe.
that noise?
That actually sounds like a real.
Yeah.
Cody, why isn't
GIF.
dog paddling one of the events in the Olympics? It seems like such a
It
natural
needs to
thing.
be. You know, that's going to be the fifth
I could be the third leg on a dog paddle. Maybe. But I decided then to make a change and not pursue competitive swimming and decided to go into acting and performing. So maybe Fassbender needs to make that change.
I want to say, before I make this comparison, you're in much better shape than this gentleman. But the old SNL commercial with John Belushi training for the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Smoking
eating-
the cigarettes with the little donuts. Yeah. That's about me.
could be you.
It's about me trying to swim in 9th grade at Royal Grande High School. That was about it.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's see what we have in store for us with live Twitter questions. Ashley, I think we got time for 2 quick ones. What do we got?
Perfect. John Patterson writes, what's your favorite movie monologue? Mine is Jack Nicholson's You Can't Handle the Truth speech.
Oh, man. A Few Good Men has so many great movie monologues that I am fond of quoting. The first one that jumps to my mind, probably because it's the most recent one that I really think about, oh, man, that was so powerful, was Christoph Waltz at the beginning of Inglourious Bastards. I mean, that just, he sits down and he starts out, and it, like, the way that our emotions change in that 5 minutes while he's speaking is the first time it's like, oh, you know what? This guy, he's going to be amenable. We're going to be able to get out of this thing okay. And by the end of it, you're like, we're all screwed. But my favorite movie monologue of all time is Robert Shaw in Jaws. In Quint, when he's talking about being on the Indianapolis, because we go from just having a nice old time drinking and we'll worry about the shark tomorrow, let's just compare some scars, and then we get really deep with some scars. And I see that, and I can't believe there was a performance better than that from a supporting actor in 1975. So those are my favorites. Kristian Harloff, what do you got?
I'll give you 3, 2 of the same actor. I'm going to give you Al Pacino with Any Given Sunday, even though I don't love the movie itself.
Yeah.
That speech in the locker room is incredible.
The inches we need are all around us.
In front of your face.
So good.
It's a great speech. Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate. I love that speech he gives. Kevin, It's so good. Like the ending. It's so cartoony, but it's a really great monologue given by Pacino. But then the other one is Stallone in Rocky Balboa when he's talking about inspirational when he says to him, "You keep moving forward. That's what winner do."
Took mine.
Yeah, did I? I'm sorry. But those are the ones. I mean, I think that those particular two actors, but there are tons of great ones out there. But I like the inspirational ones.
Pacino is like the one guy that we just allow to get cartoony because there's something grounded about when he gets cartoony we as an audience give him a pass, and it's fun to celebrate stuff like that. Cody Miller, Kristian took yours. Have you recovered?
Mine. So I'll recover with Creed, which was one of my favorite movies of the last couple of years, and there's a bunch of really good ones in that movie. But there's one scene when he's talking to Adonis, and he's like, "See that guy there?" And he's pointing to him in the mirror. He's like, "That's your toughest opponent right there." And then he goes off on a tangent about how the hardest thing to defeat is self-doubt. And that that hits me really hard as an athlete. So.
Rocky's like an all-time great boxer.
It's such a great one.
But he's also like a really good coach. If you were, do you think that's the one that
Tommy
you would
Gunn.
Tommy Gunn. Well, everybody has their, they're Rocky periods, no pun intended.
Tommy Gunn.
If you have to pump yourself up before a big meet, are you watching Creed? What movie are you watching?
So I think of scenes from movies that pump me up. Like one is Russell Crowe in Gladiator when he's like, "Is this not what you wanted?" He's like screaming. And the other is Brad Pitt and Troy. I loved that movie. And right before he storms the beach, he gives them this great speech, and he's like, "See, lying out there waiting is immortality." He's like, "Take it, it's yours." And it's just everyone's super pumped up and that just pumps me up. So, stuff like that.
Ken, I know that your favorite speech in movie history is Kristen Stewart in Snow White and the Huntsman, where you're just willing to run through a wall after she fires you up. Anything else come to mind?
I saw that in the theater with you two gentlemen.
Did you really?
Definitely with you. Wow. I know we saw that in theaters. Ooh, yeah. Look, it's funny. Nick Nicholson in A Few Good Men is one of my all-time favorites. People have to remind me, he's the bad guy, because I used to have it quoted in my office in my old job. People are like, that you're not supposed to root for that. I'm like, we make sense. But another one is Billy Crystal at the end of When Harry Met Sally. The whole, you get a crinkle in your nose, and I love the whole love speech. But the best is from a little movie called Young Guns 2, which is Billy the Kid talking about how he shall finish the game, Doc. That is my favorite monologue of all time.
Young Guns 2 is so sneakily quotable.
Yeah.
I don't know why
so
more offices don't have it hanging in them that are afraid. At least I'm lucky enough to say our office does. We got some great calls from you guys. We have Bill Pullman in Independence Day is an all-time great one. Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, great one. TJ Mackey, Denzel Washington in Training Day. So a lot of great ones. Ashley, do you happen to have one movie that you see that is not named Mean Girls that really speaks to
that
you?
is so unfair because Mean Girls is one of the most quotable movies of all time. You have to admit that.
Are there great quotes in Saw, in any of the Saw movies?
No, not really. I mean, you want to play a game, but I'm really excited for the new Saw movie coming out. Look at that poster.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah, they're not screening for critics.
It's going to make it out. Yeah, I think they might actually send us a screener link. So,
is that true?
You can have mine.
Ooh,
Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not true. I just like to get
Give me your password.
pumped up. All right, let's do one more Twitter question. We'll call it a day.
David Crennan writes, considering its popularity, would a Walking Dead movie benefit the franchise? Is crossing over TV and movies a good idea?
With Walking Dead, it is a very popular show. I'm sure the ratings did Boffo business last night, although I did not watch it. I think that Walking Dead and Game of Thrones seem to be the two most Twitter-friendly shows like that. I mean, I know that there's a lot of reality TV that people enjoy, but if you have episodic event shows that are on cable still, Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. We hear all this noise about whether Game of Thrones could go a prequel set 500 years before the events of this or 500 years after or whatever. With Walking Dead, it seems like this run has to end, Cody, before we could even talk about having a movie. Now, once this series run ends, I think that we could have another standalone movie set in the same world, a lot like what they've tried to do with Fear the Walking Dead, where that takes place in Los Angeles instead of Atlanta, going up to Virginia. Do you think that would work? Maybe do it somewhere in the Midwest?
I think it would be. I think it would be tough. It's certainly one of the most popular shows, so it might do fairly well. But the thing with Walking Dead is it's a relatively slowly paced show, and so to turn it into a movie, they would have to really speed that up. And that's the one big difference that I see between a television show and a movie. I would certainly see it, but I think a show like Game of Thrones lends itself to something much more cinematic than Walking Dead.
Yeah, Ken, which side are you on the Game of Thrones possibly getting the cinematic treatment, and do you think the same could be done with Walking Dead?
I think Cody brings up a great point about why I don't know The Walking Dead would work in its current form. You need to have kind of a 3-act structure, something big at the end, and they could do that, make it figured out. That's why, in terms of Game of Thrones, I would want it to be completely separate, something from the Age of Heroes, something from A Dance with Dragons, something like that, not in the same, like I wouldn't want to see a 2-hour Robert's Rebellion movie. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing it on HBO as a 4-part miniseries or even a 2-hour HBO movie. There's something different. There's something kind of mental about when you see it on a big screen and you're so used to seeing it on TV, it's hard to do. I look at The Simpsons. I'm a huge Simpsons fan. Even to this day, I actually liked the movie, but it was hard to pull off. Yep. And a lot of people didn't take to it because there's something about we're just trained over time. Even though things, movie actors come to TV now more than ever than they used to. It's actually a good career move versus back then it was like, ooh, good luck to you, sir. It's hard to cross over. I wouldn't necessarily want a Game of Thrones movie.
Yeah, I love that Simpsons movie. That
it's really
re-energized my love for The Simpsons after not kind of falling off watching the TV show. As far as a Walking Dead movie, Kristian, I tend to side with Cody where, they spent an entire season looking for a girl who was in the barn the whole time. So it's hard to speed that up in a believable way because part of the charm of that show to me is that it does take a while to let the events unfold, and it's paid off more often than not for me, but I know a lot of fans get turned cold by that.
It's very easy to scale it back, and because you forget, season 1 was like 10 episodes or 8 episodes.
Yeah, it was actually 6.
Yeah.
It was 6 episodes.
See, and that was the best season, I think, arguably,
Agreed.
because it moved so fast because they didn't know if they were going to get another season. And then one's like, oh, people like this. Let's do 3,000 episodes per season. And you get all those filler episodes. And even though Kirkman will tell you they're not filler, yes, they are. There are a lot of filler episodes in that show, and that's why we get so frustrated with that show. As far as a movie goes, I think they need to change their tune. I think that even though we goof on Sex and the City, what they did right is they did a movie when the series was over, when it was done. And they still want people to. There's a big controversy like 2 weeks ago that we weren't going to do a third one because Kim Cattrall doesn't want to do it. But this movie, if you shut it down after the series is over and then you bring it back, right? And you have a clear-cut kind of ending that you have set for the big screen, that can work. And change your tune. Find a cure. Find a cure. I get it. Oh, they're never going to find a cure. Stop that. Find a cure. Like, let's see, how are they going to do it? How are they? Maybe not during the series because we know it's going to be bleak and it's gross and everybody's, humanity is really the main villain. We get it. But if you're going to do a movie, change your tune. As far as Game of Thrones goes, I agree with you that I think it's very similar to kind of the Star Wars backlore where there's so much you could explore as to why go so close to it that I'd like to see other events. But I actually would. You said that about Robert's Rebellion, and I actually would love to see Ned Stark back on the screen again. Ned Stark in a film, even though I know down the line what's going to happen to him, I wouldn't mind seeing him back on screen.
It would be nice to see Sean Bean back in that role just because it'd be the one movie where you can watch and you're pretty sure Sean Bean isn't going to die.
Well, he'd probably be too old to be in the movie. Probably have to get the guy that they got to be in the flashback.
He was pretty damn
Sex
good.
and the City is a great example. That was a really good movie. It was
smart.
And I had just binged
First
it.
one.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah,
second one's the best horror film of all time.
That's a good
After
point.
our experience watching the second one, I'm with Kim Cattrall. I don't want to come back for a third one either.
Watch that review. Watch our review of the second one. I'll tell you that. Go ahead.
One of the better ones.
One of the best reviews we did.
I want to thank all you guys for tuning in to Movie Talk. Thank you so much for watching us today. The hardworking crew behind the scenes, as well as everybody up here with me. First and foremost, our special guest today, Mr. Cody Miller, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, buddy. Where can the kids find you?
Thanks for having me. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Cody Miller. And I just started my YouTube channel, Cody Miller Adventures. Check it out. Pretty excited about it.
Cody Miller Adventures, and one of those upcoming will probably be involving in your Universal Studios experience last night and maybe even today.
And maybe
what
even
ride
today.
are you most excited about?
Obviously the Harry Potter Castle ride. Yeah, that, and I've heard Transformers is pretty good. So even though the movies are, but
I'm telling you, man, you get your stuff. Make sure you get your butterbeer after you go on the Mummy because it's going to joss you around.
All
a little bit.
right.
You're in for a good time. Kristian George Harloff, welcome back, Kristian.
Thank you
everybody.
very much. I appreciate it. And I think the other thing too. Thanks for the round of applause. But the other thing that I wanted to say, as far as the app goes, it is available on iOS. Make sure you go and check that out. But we are also doing the Schmodown panel at LA Comic-Con on the 29th, this Sunday. Make sure you check it out, 1:30. We're going to be talking more and more about that. We're going to have a lot of the competitors that you guys like. And Cody Miller knows JTE pretty well, and he'll be there too.
And Ken Napzok.
Hey, man, I'm so glad I survived that 9th grade swimming accident to be here today with Cody Miller and everyone here. You can follow me at Cat Napzok, and that includes my podcast, The Napzok Files, out there on iTunes as well.
He may not be great at the doggy paddle, but he looks damn good in a Speedo. That is Ken Napzok and Ashley Mova. Where can the kids check you out?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
Happy Monday indeed. Good to be back for the full week here on Movie Talk, and I will see you guys at the Syracuse Funny Bone in a couple weeks. You can get tickets at markellislive.com, or you can follow me on Twitter at markellislive. Thank you for tuning in to Collider Movie Talk. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad station. Now, a handsome guy in a shirt. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.